New York Jets head coach Jeff Ulbrich has just called out rookie wide receiver Malachi Corley after the boneheaded play of dropping the football at the 1 yard line instead of running to the end zone versus the Houston Texans last night. And I got to break it down here in Jets Digest. What's up, guys? I'm Matt. Just want to remind you guys that only 11.4% of viewers are subscribed to the channel. So if you want to help me reach my subscriber goal of 2,000 subscribers, please hit that subscribe button. But getting into this quote from Coach Jeff Ulbrich on the TV show Pro Football Talk, he said, definitely frustrated to be honest and angry at the same time. But what an amazing opportunity it is for this kid to grow and to learn from. I promise you, 10 years from now, when he's still playing in the league, that will never happen again. So, Jeff Ulbrich, here's the picture of the play. If you haven't seen it, Malachi Corley gets in the football game for his second career NFL touch. It's a run for him like he was supposed to always have, a designed touch. He takes it 18 yards, but the Jets were on the 19-yard line, and he only took it 18 yards because he decided he was going to drop the football behind him in celebration when he thought he was in the end zone, but he was actually on the 1 yard line. An extremely frustrating play for Jets fans because this was early in the game when it just felt like the Jets could do nothing right. Coming off the blowout against the Steelers, coming off the Patriots game that was just demoralizing, all the penalties, and losing to a team that we need to beat if we are the team that Jets fans believe that this team can really be. Malachi Corley has to be able to, got to put that in the end zone. It just felt like I don't want to say it, so I'm not going to say it, but there's a phrase that people say about the Jets. It starts with same. I'm not going to say it. It felt like that, though. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. It felt like it didn't matter what was going to happen. The Jets were always going to find a way to make a mistake. But in the second half, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, they all found a way to step up and make crazy plays to bring the Jets back in the winning column, 3-6, moving forwards. Jets are going to be building on this game, getting more momentum going forwards. And what I really like about this quote is Jeff Ulbrich is giving Malachi Corley the props, saying he's going to be playing in 10 years. That means Jeff Ulbrich thinks Malachi Corley is going to be a professional long in this league. And if you're not good at football, you do not last long in the National Football League. It doesn't matter where the Jets drafted Malachi Corley in the third round out of Western Kentucky. Other teams aren't going to care. In 2 years, the Jets aren't going to care. You got to earn your keep. And if Jeff Ulbrich believes that Malachi can earn his keep, that's definitely a really good thing for this young player's future. And I'm really excited to see what Malachi can bring to the team. We've seen that they're thinking of touches for him. They know that they need to get the guy design touches because his route running is still not up to snuff. So what they did was they got him the designed run, and he made a play out of it. Now, he is not going to make this mistake ever again. But this mistake shouldn't have never been made even once in the first place. That's frustrating to see, but Malachi, he's going to step up. Hopefully we can see him getting more involved. And if I'm the head coach, Jeff Ulbrich, if I'm the play caller, Todd Downing, I'm brainstorming ways to get this guy more involved in the game next week. He was correctly sat for most of the rest of the game after that fumble, but it's time to bring this guy along in the offense to see what kind of spark he can provide for the offense. And going back, talking about last night, it was a lot of fun because the Jets passing offense in that second quarter, or in the second half, finally started taking off. Aaron Rodgers ended the game with 3 passing touchdowns, which was the Jets. I'm not sure how many games it was, but it was a lot where they were on a down streak of not having any quarterback pass for 3 touchdowns in a game. It was the second longest streak in the NFL, but snapped against a pretty tough Houston Texans defense with Danielle Hunter, with Will Anderson, their talented young pass rusher, coming off the edges and definitely putting pressure on our banged up offensive line. We had Max Mitchell was playing guard. We had Olu Fashanu was in playing right guard in the spot of the injured Elijah Vera Tucker, who was not able to go last night against the Texans. So I thought Olu Fashanu performed admirably. He was called for that penalty on a Breece Hall run. The play before the Garrett Wilson the second Garrett Wilson one-handed touchdown, Olu was called for a holding penalty, but I really don't think that was a hold. I think Olu was the victim of a makeup call from the referees because on third down, the Texans, they were called for a defensive holding call, which I don't know. I'm glad it happened, but I certainly did not see that hold. But Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson, bunch of touchdowns. Garrett Wilson, 2 one-handed catches, just showing the talent that we know he has. It was so heartbreaking to see that drop pass against the Steelers because we know how talented this player is, and we know that he can be a superstar in this league, and we need him to prove it to everyone else right now. Jets fans know it, but he's got to prove himself farther out. And hopefully this is I'm not going to say the first step because he had over 100 yards against the Patriots last week, but 2 good games for Garrett Wilson. Hopefully he can build on that into the future. People are comparing this catch to the Odell Beckham Jr. catch. Love to see it. MetLife Stadium. Guess it's just a place to have your one-handed catches go crazy. But also, some of the other stuff from last night. The penalties, still way too many penalties for the Jets. They got to get that straightened out. Like I said, that Garrett Wilson catch, it was necessary because of a penalty on Olu Fashanu backing the Jets up. And it should have been 1st and goal after a long Breece Hall carry. He brought him inside the 10-yard line. It should have been 1st and goal, but it got taken back by that Olu hold. So, fortunately, the Texans made more mistakes than the Jets did. CJ Stroud fumbled the ball away. They missed a chip shot field goal. Speaking of field goals, awesome to see our new guy, Riley Patterson, not missing any kicks. The first extra point, doinked off the upright. The most important thing is it went in. That was pretty scary to see, but at this point, with how bad the kicking has been in New York, specifically for the Jets, I was just, as long as it goes in, we will take it. So hopefully Riley doesn't hit the upright next week. Hopefully they all go through clean, but we got to hopefully maybe sitting out, he was a little bit rusty, but extra points have to be gimmies. They just have to be. You can't win in this league by giving up that 1 point after the touchdown. Aaron Rodgers, first half, not good. One of his worst first halves of all time. Just no passing yards. That first quarter, he started on an incompletion streak, which tied his longest incompletion streak to start a game of his career. And it's just so frustrating to see that it just seems like whenever a guy comes to the Jets, they just start breaking records for how bad they can play. And it's just, but that was the first half. Second half, Aaron Rodgers was dealing. He found Devontae Adams. I don't know if there were something on the ground, but the Texans DBs, they felt the need to keep bending over, reaching their hands down, just touching the grass, just seeing what's down there. But they didn't realize Devontae Adams was running over the top behind him. He ran an amazing sluggo, which is a fake slant, and then turned into a go route. And the corner bit all the way down on that, and Devontae Adams was easily found by Rodgers along that left sideline. That was amazing to see on 4th down. You saw Aaron Rodgers on the broadcast. He gave him a thumbs down. Let me get this in the camera. He gave it a thumbs down, which was the sluggo route for Devontae Adams, and he nailed the route. Aaron Rodgers, perfect pass. Speaking of that Rodgers-Devontae connection, we saw to pretty much ice the game, the 3rd passing touchdown from Rodgers. Devontae Adams out of the slot, that slot fade. I thought the ball was going to be overthrown, but Rodgers put that on a just perfectly right in the hands of Devontae Adams for the 3rd touchdown for the Jets passing offense to fully ice away the Texans, who going in were 6-2. Really talented team. They got, of course, CJ Stroud, but what they didn't have was an offensive line. And we showed that our defensive line, they can be a scary group. Quinnen Williams was putting pressure up that middle that whole time. Hassan Reddick combined with Williams to have the game-clinching sack on Stroud, which was great to see. But the guy who just cannot be ignored on that defensive line, Will McDonald, oh my goodness, the spin move. I don't know how people have not figured it out yet, but it is still working for him. And there were a couple plays last night, some of those CJ Stroud runs, where he was able to get outside because Will McDonald did not rush with pass rush integrity, which means he ducked inside because there was a higher chance of him getting a sack. But that runs the risk of CJ Stroud being able to get to the outside, and CJ Stroud did that over and over and over again. So Will McDonald's going to have to make sure that he doesn't allow quarterbacks to really get outside and run against us, because next week we have the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, he already has I'm not sure exactly what the yardage was, but it was a long touchdown, 40-plus yards rushing touchdown for Kyler Murray. He is more than capable rusher, one of the best running quarterbacks in the league. He's going to expose Will McDonald if Will keeps deciding to spin in and not rushing outside. what has to happen is McDonald needs to get pressure from the outside and force the quarterback in to stay inside the pocket where Quinnen Williams is hopefully crushing the pocket. And Hassan Reddick's going to be doing the same thing on the other side. They got to collapse the pocket around him. You can't give him that easy rush lane to run outside the pocket. CJ Stroud, not a running quarterback. He does not ever want to run the football. But if you give it to him, he's a gamer. He's a great player. He's going to take the yards, and he's going to go out and get it. So, Sauce Gardner, some tough moments for him last night. But I'm not going to say he's still a young player and it was just a bad night, but because he's been the best cornerback in the league for the first 2 years in the league. This is a down year for him. Hopefully he can get this turned around. His tackling has become more or lack thereof of tackling has become more pronounced this season. That's just because the guys ahead of him aren't tackling well enough. Sauce Gardner, what we need him to do is just focus on just locking guys down like we know he can. He's got called for a bunch of holding penalties, PI penalties. I have full faith in him to turn it around. He was the only cornerback ever to start his year with 2 consecutive first-team All-Pros. So we have no reason to believe that he's not going to turn this around. So Will McDonald, Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, all they combined to get a must-needed win for the Jets. Got to keep it going, though, because the season, even though this win feels great, it counts just as much as any other win. So the next step is Arizona. We got to figure out, got to get Marvin Harrison Jr. covered. Got to get Kyler Murray. Can't let him take off with his legs. And we know they want to run the ball a lot. But hey, that's a discussion for another video. So you tuned in for this long. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. And as always, go Jets.